On this channel, Ford are a bit like buses. Nothing for ages, and then all of a sudden loads of them come along together. And I'm proud to bring you the Ford Ranger Raptor in this review. In some versions and some places in the world, there'd be a 5 litre, maybe even a 7 litre engine sitting under this. In Ireland though, because of VRT and charges and taxes, and just because, you know, they like to kick the motors when they're down, this one has a 2 litre engine with 213 brake horsepower and costs almost €64,000. And the paint on this one is a grand extra. You get the idea. One thing that I found a bit unusual is that at the front there's no actual blue Ford badge. You just have massive big Ford letters across the front. I'm not saying you can miss them there or anything, but I was kind of surprised there was nothing blue up there. Now, in case you're wondering, no, it's not I'm particularly small. This is just particularly big, okay? So don't at me over height or start asking me questions about it. Around the side then as well, there's no obvious blue things that say this is a Ford. Even on these wheels, it's just silver. Nothing major here. Yes, there's a big gaping Raptor transfer on the back quarter, and yeah, that still might give you an idea, but side on, you'd be looking at this going, what is it? These huge little steps go right along the side. Now, they look very good, but there's holes throughout the whole thing, so all the muck sprays up onto the side of the car. Now maybe they do that deliberately to give it the well used, driven in a forest, muck everywhere kind of stance, and to be honest with you, it actually looks better when it's dirty. Just don't tell anybody, okay? But all the same, for such a big vehicle, it's still kind of discreet in you know, shouting about the fact that it's a Ford. That does change a little bit here around the back. That's because we've got Raptor here, Ranger here, right to left, yeah, whatever, and a Ford sign right in the middle. So now you go, oh yeah, okay. Now, this thing is so easy to load and unload. This really long rope keeps you fit. In there you'll take 620 kilograms of a payload, and you can strap things down. There's anchors and hooks, you name it, it's in there to keep things secure. And then you can lock that obviously as well if you're just using it to store normal things in there, like shopping and school bags, because there's probably more chance of one of these staying off this kind of road. You also need to lock that from a bit. Just make sure you lock that rolling part as well, because even if you have the tailgate closed but that's not locked, you'll still be able to potentially open it. We're sitting on really chunky all-terrain BF Goodrich tyres here. I haven't even checked to see how much they cost. I'd imagine it's expensive. They're 17-inch. The Raptor has an axle that can move independently with the rest of the truck sitting fairly level. It's got a better suspension setup than the last model. Even when you're bouncing around on dirt tracks and off-road, it's still fairly solid. Like, it's a big, big unit, and you feel like you're kind of king of the road driving it. But then there's some really clever stuff in the back here. I don't remember any other pickup I've reviewed that has one of these, and I'm including the Amarok and the L200 in that, of course. Legroom back here, not a problem. Head height, not a problem. Even the rear seating area, which sometimes can just be a little bit upright because of trying to fit everything in the back. Nice and decent space here. Decent bit of give in terms of leaning back into your seat, so it's comfortable. There is an armrest around here if you've only got 2 people in the back. 2 Isofix. Storage back here. A plug at the back of the driver armrest, which means you can boil a kettle and have a cup of tea if this car is actually being used, or sorry, pickup is being used to, you know, do stuff that it was intended for, and you're off the beaten track for a day or whatever. So you can potentially, I don't know, plug a microwave into that if you want. But it's just great having the option. Flexibility is cool. And it's spacious. 4 fully grown men, for example, in here would still be comfortable and not be sniffing each other's armpits, you know, like it would work. So it's a good job. Certainly not any worse than anything else pickup wise on the market, and possibly actually just a little bit better. One thing that would make life a little bit easier getting in and out of the back of the cab is a little grab handle. Just something on the inside of the pillar even would be good, especially for kids, because they're really They're just trying to struggle climbing up. Now I'll get on to the potential issue with this 2-litre engine in terms of towing and weight of the vehicle in a few minutes. I just want to show you up front what the Ranger Raptor is like, because I think it's a bit special, especially again compared to a lot of other pickups on the market. I think this just has the edge. I have a grab handle, by the way. So I'm a big fan of everything up here, don't get me wrong, but it's all just very nice. Like, the dashboard has got leather on it, and I know that's wipeable, but you just would feel, and particularly same with your seats, there's nice bits of Alcantara and suede on them. You feel like a day on a building site is going to wreck the interior of your Ranger Raptor, and it's not really, it's not really what many people do. You know, like a lot of here is all plastic, and it is all wipeable, but look, it's kind of weird than complaining that it's luxurious, but it's just which is more important. And I love little nod to the Focus RS up here, just so you feel like you're in something special. 10-speed automatic gearbox, huge paddles here to keep you involved if you want. You've got manual mode from the gear shifter as well. 2 high, 4 high and 4 low. So obviously you've got 4-wheel drive options. You can just do 2-wheel as well. There's 2 12-volt chargers up the front, 2 USB chargers up the front. So no matter who's up here, you're all going to be catered for. And then your mentioned plug in the boot. So there's tons of stuff to keep everything charged up. There is a grab handle here. You need it getting in and out. You know, don't feel like you're 74 trying to get into a small car. You're going to need it. It is quite an elevated position. And same with the length of the bonnet looking out this way. Like, it's huge. You know, and like you feel like you're in an absolute beast. And if you're doing a school run on this, as I've done a couple of days this week, you feel like people looking at you going, is there any need now for that thing to carry someone from senior infants? You know, is that necessary? And you kind of just feel a bit conscious of it. So it is huge, and you will get people asking you if you're compensating for something. In here there's CarPlay, Android, all workable with Bluetooth or using cables should you like. If you're in the middle of nowhere like I am now, you've got your sat nav, and everything in here is really easy to use. Touchscreen, typical Ford system. It did lock up on me one day, and at the end of a WhatsApp call, I couldn't get the WhatsApp call to disconnect from the system, so I couldn't get back to the normal audio, like the tunes I was trying to listen to. You need your tunes, man. I had to swipe up the WhatsApp, that still didn't work. I turned off Bluetooth and that disconnected it, reconnected it again, and all was fine. And that kind of happens a lot in the Ford system, I find. But once you get over those little hurdles, it's really to use and very clear and all that stuff, and the nav is good. Another part of the car I'm really impressed with is the voice control.
Please say a command.
Set temperature to 25 degrees.
Did you say 25 degrees?
Yes.
Setting temperature to 25 degrees.
Works first time, every time. Other cars, please make it work as good as that if you're going to put voice control in your vehicles. You know, Ford claim it in their spiel about the vehicle that the difference between the Ranger Raptor is what it can do off-road, and then you can still drive around like a king on main roads. And do you know what? They're not lying, because in my experience, sometimes the tires in these types of vehicles mean that it's just a bit rough when it's on normal road, and the predominant setup is to handle off-road stuff. But then there's a good chance, even if you do need the crew cab and you need the pickup part of this vehicle, the actual off-road capabilities, how often are they used? And it's a really solid point, because there's no point having something that's able to tear up mountains and hills and not get you stuck in mud. That's really important. But then if you're at the end of the day trying to drive home on a normal road and it's really uncomfortable and it's bobbing around, there's no fun in that either. Now the thing with this car is it's heavy, and the more you tow on it and the more you put on the back of it, it's getting heavier and heavier. And I just wonder, it's 10 seconds to 60 as it is. It's not exactly a rocket. You can put it into sports mode. Let me demonstrate that for you. And it does get a little bit louder. I'll give you that. And It probably does hold on to the revs a little bit longer in the automatic gearbox, but like it just gets, it turns into a noisier diesel engine. It's 213 brake horsepower. It's got 500 newton meters of torque, so there's plenty of torque for, you know, gently climbing up summits and hills. That really won't be a problem for this, but it's just when you're towing up to 2.5 tons in this, what's it going to be like? If that's never going to be a factor, that you're going to tow up to 2.5 tons, it's not relevant. The most relevant thing is how cool this looks. It does look bloody cool. How comfortable it is on the inside, and it really is. And all other things then just come down to preferences, I suppose. The V6 Amarok, there's no doubt there's more poke in that. You know, it feels more like a monster truck almost. This certainly looks like one. It just doesn't have that extra thump. In front of a standard Ranger like what's in front in traffic, you can really straight away see the differences in size, the wider track in this vehicle. It's all about, Jesus, what is that? You know, and it's really imposing when you see it on the road. That then you'd expect to have some sort of a beast under the bonnet, and it's just that it's not quite there. But then again, the petrol engines, the beefier diesel engines that you can get, it's just not practical to run a vehicle like that in Ireland, unfortunately. The thing about off-road driving is, though, you're not going to be going particularly fast, so that extra power isn't there. But it doesn't matter, you've got all the torque you're going to need to climb through mud, you've got all your different wheel drive selections, so it's actually more, if you're towing serious stuff, the performance of this engine, that's where I suppose it's something you have to consider. Apart from that, I don't think it's really relevant. 65 grand is the total cost of this vehicle. It's got loads of safety features as standard. It doesn't have a glass roof and it doesn't have blind spot inside there, but it does have a 10-speed automatic gearbox, the blue stitching everywhere, the nicer Raptor seats. It's really gets the balance on a workhorse and something that still is very, very comfortable to be behind the wheel of. It gets that combination very, very well. And if that is what Ford, I suppose, are selling, that's the difference in the Ranger Raptor, then they're being very upfront and honest about that. 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive selection is from down here, but all the other bits, you just use that like as if you're increasing the volume on a tune. It's so easy to use. Seating position is really high up, so your visibility is still great, and even actually with those big pillars you can still see over your shoulder, so the lack of blind spot, yeah, it'd be nice to have it, but it's not like you can see over there if you are changing lanes on a motorway. Even with the size of those tires, there's not a huge amount of road noise coming from it either, so they really have obviously gone to the extra effort of making sure it's a livable, it's a pickup that you can live with every day, and it's not going to be really uncomfortable at 100 kilometers an hour. It doesn't go much faster than that, by the way, so that's another, not that it's limited, it just doesn't go that fast. Gets so much attention on the roads, though, it really does. People are just looking up at it going, what the hell is that? So be prepared for that, and be prepared for, I suppose, feeling a little bit awkward if you're in situations where this is just so big and people are looking at you going, what's he doing driving that thing around here? Like, it just doesn't fit. The school run is one of those times, and also shopping. If you bring this to the shops, you're going to take up easily 2 spaces, so be prepared for some dirty looks. But you know what? I love it. It's chunky, it's big, makes you feel like you're king of the road. Seating position is deadly. If you're into pickups, this has to be right up there, because you can't not consider Ford, the heritage they have, the F-150, all that stuff. You'd have to give this a little look in as well. It's just expensive, and it's hard not to think about the Amarok. But I don't know if the Amarok actually looks as mean and cool as this, especially in this paint and at the front. And this kind of does look a bit cooler on the outside. It looks like it's going to transform into something else. The plan hasn't changed on the channel. I want to get to 10,000 subscribers before the end of 2020. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And wherever you are in the world, a lot of people watching some of these Ford videos in America, please do comment below. It's great to hear people are watching them all over the shop, and obviously here at home as well if you do have any questions. And check out ford.ie for more on the Ranger Raptor. I'll see you again soon.